Beloved brothers and sisters of the light, greetings. This is Bala Deva. I am here to inform you of my journey in a capsulated way so that you can have some appreciation for my journey, as well see correlations with your journey, as we are all evolving rapidly in this great human experiment, as we awaken and transfigure into crystalline light bodies. Now, I will not disclose my age, for that is irrelevant, because we know that the soul is eternal and that this temporary body is going through stages. However, I do believe that because of the acceleration of light love energies that have been flooding this planet over the last several decades, that we are coming into a opportunity to awaken fully, or should I say more fully, into our light bodies. This is a stage by stage process, and it has been gradual. I think many of us have been so eager to have this happen overnight, and yet we have discovered that the process is a moment by moment, day by day unfolding. So when in the early 90s, I would say around 1990, is when I was at a stage in my early 20s, about 20 years old, when I really began delving into spiritual literature. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and Powell's Bookstore, one of the largest cafe bookstores in the city, 2 or 3 stories of used and new books. I was able to browse at my leisure, and being a poet artist, I spent a lot of time researching into the realm of metaphysics. And one thing led to another, and I felt really highly activated for years prior to that, even through grade school. I remember walking home after school each day and feeling divine energies course through my body, flooding in through the top of my head and filling my body with high energy, light, love. My hairs would stand on end, and I remember appreciating this experience almost on a daily basis until I began to see it gradually taper off a bit, not happen as often. But I remember thinking, oh, I wonder if other people experience this. This must be normal. And perhaps it was. I think there were some of us who were attuned to these frequencies as the planet has been evolving. Now, this is my experience in the 90s. For some, it may have been decades earlier, and for some, more recently. But the point is, we are all going through the consciousness upgrading as our light bodies are being assimilated. We know that we are in a carbon-based physical 3D world in the flesh and bone body, but this has been transforming as silicon is activated through our DNA, and we are becoming more crystalline. There is metaphysical science to be researched in this realm. I'm giving a brief synopsis of this. So my journey began with some very powerful books. I read a book called The Mayan Factor in about 1990, and that was written by Jose Arguelles. Look him up. He was a marvelous personality who was a professor at Art Institute of Colorado, or the Colorado University, and he began channeling Pleiadian, Arcturian, and Galactic Mayan information. This book had revealed how the 2012 time period of aligning with the galactic core was going to be a very significant, transformative time for humanity. And so from that period of time, 1990, I was so eager for this period of 2012 to come around. And at that time, that was still 22 years off in the future. And so for over those 22 years, I was every day very much aware and eager to awaken spiritually and to prepare myself for that time period. Now, some may think that not much occurred in 2012. On the physical plane, it may have appeared not to be so. But there were, of course, everything that was meant to happen happened in a galactic sense. Corey Good has revealed how the blue avians came in mass with hundreds of their gigantic orbs in protection of this quadrant of the solar system. There are many, many things that have been occurring as humanity has been going through this upgrade. So that book led to others, and I'll just rattle off some because we all come across the literatures which activate us and motivate us. But the autobiography of a yogi, of course, was read by millions, and that illuminated me to the Indian teachings and also the yogic process of light body. Then the teachings of Sri Aurobindo, another great sage of India. Then Tibetan Buddhism, and there was a local Tibetan Buddhist center, and so I began practicing in different traditions of Tibetan Buddhism. I was graced to be in the company of Chandogye Tuku, who is a lineage holder, and activated several of us in Oregon at that time with the Red Tara initiation. It was the first Red Tara initiation in the Western world. Just these are some of my exposures to these things, and for me it was bringing up past life experience of having been a Tibetan Buddhist practitioner. And so I came to a realization after a 3-day Tibetan Buddhist retreat when I was riding my bike home through the streets of Portland, and I awoke with a crystal clear awareness that all these practices are wonderful and good in purifying my consciousness, but what is the conception of a personal God? And that became something that I felt extremely connected to, that it's wonderful to identify that we are achieving Buddhahood, that we are achieving oneness with all that is, with the totality of existence. Yet I had a inner belief in my soul, I will say, of a personal Godhead. And this runs into the realm of religion, which many people today seem to want to shun and go away from, understandably so, because of all the abuses performed by religions over the decades and centuries. However, let us not forget, religio, the Italian Latin word, means to link one's consciousness with the supreme consciousness. Yoga is the same word. Yoga, yoke, to link our consciousness with superconsciousness, with the Godhead. So religion in itself, anything can be a religion. To not believe in God can be a religion. So if you want to say, I'm not religious, well then you're spiritual, right? So it's just terminology. My point being that to identify and understand that this existence is created by a supreme divine intelligence, which is obvious through every step and every breath we take in our life. If you look around and you see the ultimate variety of all things, the flowers in their manifold beauty and expressions, the shrubbery, the plant life, the animal life, the human, and all the species, and not to mention all the planetary systems and limitlessness of creation. This is all orchestrated in divine order. It is not that some impersonal, energetic source has just exploded this into being, but rather selectively and very poignantly created all of this variety for the pleasure of that Supreme Being. So through the Vedic teachings of India, one evolutionary step to another led me to finding my teachers and my gurus. And these gurus have revealed, I have I'm saying I have understood from the Vedic scriptures, from the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, a very specific understanding of the science of reality, the science of God, the spiritual science that is revealed through these Vedic Sanskrit teachings. One can understand that beings on all levels of existence, from the highest planets to the lowest, all are seeking truth and seeking perfection ultimately. That perfection is knowing that the soul, the individual soul, is connected to the Supreme Soul, and that it's a devotional process. So devotion involves service. So Corey Good will refer, the Blue Avians are teaching service to others. Of course, in this life, everything is about service. Our parents are serving the child is serving the parents, we are serving the nation, we are serving the neighbors. You know, everything is centered around service. Now, ultimately, how do we honor and respect the Great Spirit, the Holy Spirit, the Supreme Being? It helps to know the nature and qualities and personality of the Supreme Being. So this is where we get more and more specific. Many religions are revealing something, say monotheistic religions, that there is one God, Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah. But they're not very specific. So what we're doing is going to the ultimate degree of specific understanding of who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who is, when you think of the movie, the Great Oz and the Wizard of Oz, there was a great booming voice and it was commanding all things, and no one knew who it was. It was just to be revered, and it was behind the curtain. But then the curtain was pulled and there's a little old man. So I'm using this as a reference. Behind this divine creation is a personality. And that personality is so fantastic, so divine, and one would think, oh, well, out of the vast creation, how could one individual entity control it all? It's impossible. That's the beauty of the inconceivable nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This divine entity I will term with the name Krishna. Krishna means the all-attractive being. All beings on all levels, from the highest awakened beings, are ultimately attracted to this Supreme Person. There is nothing more attractive in the creation than the Creator Himself. And when I say Himself, many women may say, oh, this is ridiculous. We have a hierarchical, male-dominated deity. However, if you understand this in completeness, the Shakti, the Divine Feminine, is equal in every respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Supreme Personality of Goddesshead is Sri Radha. So Sri Radha and Krishna are the emblem of divine totality. They are enjoying their loving affairs in a carefree way, in the supreme abode of Goloka Vrindavan, the 1,000-petaled lotus in the middle of the spiritual sky. And their enjoyment is limitless and full of the highest ecstasy. It is called Mahabhav. Now, all of these things are detailed more and more and more in these divine literatures of the Gaudiya Vaishnav tradition. I urge anyone to please visit certain websites. I have bhaktipalace.com. It is a basic site for introduction to these topics. There is purebhakti.com. One can venture to desiretree.com. So I thank you for taking the time to hear my little intro here, and this is very spontaneous. There are certain aspects to myself that I also want to reveal, as well as being a bhakti yogi and feeling like this information is vital for humanity. I also channel these galactic glyphs, which are behind me, and sometime in another video I will show more. But right now these are done on Japanese scrolls with sumi ink and some metallic other materials. And you can visit my site galacticglyphs.com, and there you will find that I am involved in the healing arts of reconnective healing. This has been spread around the world by Eric Pearl, and it's a very profound modality for awakening light, for light body activation. And I also create these glyphs for personal, customized psychic readings, if anyone's interested in that, or you can buy the artworks I have produced off my website. I gave a really brief intro to my awakening process. There's a lot more to it all, but suffice it to say that it is very important in this hour, 2017, August, that we all utilize our creative talents and express them openly with society, so that we can assist one another and connect and grow this galactic alliance that we all have. I am also Galactic Mayan, so this is something that I have come to understand, which is my connection with beings on the other side and other dimensions who are working on behalf of humanity and the evolution of our solar system. So thank you for your time. Let us come together again to deepen our journey. Radhe Govinda.